I didn't want to die. I mean, I didn't see much chance of living, but I was gradually getting frozen up. And by the grace of God, I came across a lifeboat, and they pulled me in.
A century-old tragedy still speaks through the images it left behind. Photographs of luxury, routine, and fleeting human moments aboard the Titanic, each hiding secrets for generations. Now, AI restoration peels back time's blur, revealing faces in the crowd, words on forgotten pages, and evidence that may rewrite history. One image left experts pale when they zoomed in, uncovering something unexpected. From the iceberg thought to have doomed their lives to the tiniest, most chilling mementos of life on the ship. These aren't photos. They're pieces of reality. Today, we present 50 unforgettable Titanic pictures. The iceberg that sentenced the ship 2 days prior to the Titanic's sinking, Captain W. Wood of SS Etonian took a black-and-white photo of a colossal iceberg crossing the Atlantic. He meticulously noted its coordinates, mere miles away from where the Titanic would strike an iceberg on April 14, 1912. AI analysis of the photograph verifies a compelling similarity to survivor drawings, giving credibility to the assumption that this was the iceberg. Wood processed the photo after arriving in New York, boldly writing on it that it had been the iceberg at fault. Forensic examination of its shape and surface pattern showed hair-raising accuracy from the historic accounts. It is therefore unspeakably haunting among the few objects related to Titanic's demise. In case you thought that iceberg was creepy, wait until you lay eyes on the life-saving equipment that wasn't so life-saving after all. Titanic's life vest Titanic had enough corking canvas life vests for all the passengers and crew members, more than 2,000 in number. Photos depict their thick cork pads sewn on canvas, held together by only thin straps of fabric. Survivors reported that when they were worn on jumps into the icy Atlantic, vest's buoyancy would snap necks or strike passengers unconscious upon impact. Guilty as they were, these vests kept some people alive long enough to be rescued, while many died of exposure. Several original Titanic life jackets survive to this day, water-worn and weathered. One found its way into auction sale for $119,000 as an ever-so-thorough reminder of that tragedy's price in human lives. The boy on Titanic's deck, 6-year-old first-class passenger Robert Douglas Spedden, was photographed in April 1912 playing with a spinning top on the deck of the Titanic. The photo, snapped mere days before the ship went down, now computer-enhanced, shows minute details. The texture of his coat, the shine on the wood at his feet, and the railings on the ship mirrored in the deck. Robert slept through the collision and awoke briefly when his nurse explained they would see the stars. He fled in a lifeboat, but 3 years later, unfortunately, he was killed in one of the first documented car accidents in Maine. The Gymnasium Titanic Gymnasium, on the boat deck beside the grand staircase, was a wonder for its day, featuring electric camels, rowing machines, and stationary bicycles. AI enhancement of surviving photographs shows floor scuffs, mirror smudges, and the bright oak paneling in great detail, even capturing the intensity of passengers using the space in the last few days. The first-class passenger charged $1 for a session with the physical instructor, T.W. Macaulay. He was reported to have remained at his station in the gymnasium until the night of Titanic's sinking, when he was lost with the ship. Lifeboats waiting, in vain. A Reverend F.M. Brown photograph, taken on board before the tragedy, depicts the lifeboats neatly stacked alongside the bridge. The vessel had 20 lifeboats, sufficient for only slightly more than half of the passengers and crew, but more than mandated by antiquated sea law. AI image scaling establishes that their capacity would have rescued everyone if they had been doubled. That evening on April 14, 1912, numerous lifeboats were put overboard, not more than half full, because officers were afraid that the lowering machinery would be damaged with a full complement. Earlier in the morning, a lifeboat drill had been planned but canceled. The compromised hull, a construction photograph of the Titanic's hull at Harland and Wolff, illustrates more than 3 million iron and steel rivets holding its plates together. New analysis, prompted by journalist Sen Milani's research, indicates a coal bunker blaze prior to the maiden voyage potentially left part of the hull compromised. AI thermal scanning of the photograph indicates slight heat distortion along one length of plating. This so-called compromised area, when Titanic hit the iceberg, might have been breached much more readily, and that then caused flooding to occur at a much more rapid rate. This remains controversial. The theory indeed adds a chilling twist to the whole disaster, as it suggests that the very fate of the ship might have been sealed before it had even left port. Launch day faces on May 31st, 1911. More than 100,000 people gathered in Belfast to watch the Titanic's launch into the River Lagan. In photos of that day, AI facial recognition has identified some dockside onlookers with subsequent pictures in Queenstown 3 days prior to the last departure of the ship, among them a man with no history of being a passenger or crew. 22 tons of soap and tallow lightened the hull into water for the 62-second launching operation. In fact, film captures some of the excitement among the crowd who have no idea what horror is about to unfold. Second-class dining room. Titanic's second-class dining room on D-deck could accommodate almost 400 passengers at long, mahogany tables bolted to the floor. AI-enhanced photographs show the rich red armchairs and, faintly cut into the paneling, the date April 10th, perhaps by a passenger who survived the wreck. There was music after dinner from a band, and meals cooked in the same first-class galley used to serve first class. The room was beautifully elegant and comfortable and represented one of the finest second-class rooms of its time. The reading and writing room. Titanic's first-class reading and writing room, designed as a peaceful retreat primarily for women, was equipped with silk-upholstered chairs, high windows, and Georgian-themed furnishings. AI contrast boosting of an existing photograph shows the silhouette of a seated individual in the far window, a person never identified. It is situated on a deck close to the lounge and was a room in which passengers were able to borrow books or send letters. Sadly, it was not used much on the journey, so the fact that this enigmatic figure was here is all the more interesting. Titanic's smoking room. The men-only first-class smoking room had stained glass windows, inlaid mahogany, and a fireplace graced with Norman Wilkinson's painting approach to the New World. AI colorization of a final image retains the golden glow of the room, as survivor testimony attests. They gambled cards here until morning on April 14th. Major Archibald, Butt, Francis Millet, and others then escaped into the night to seek safety, but some reportedly remained behind waiting for the inevitable, thereby making this one of the last sites where life was normal as usual on board the Titanic. Harrowing hazard construction images of Titanic show laborers fastening more than 3 million rivets holding the steel plates in place. Some were driven home by hand without protective equipment. AI-assisted close-ups reveal minuscule blemishes and micro-cracks in a number of rivet heads. Faults later discovered on wreckage recovered. Even some historians believe that these poor-quality rivets, especially in the forward portions of the ship, are responsible for the failure of the hull after hitting the iceberg. Even if they were not the deciding factor, the photographs depict the monstrosity and risky work involved in constructing the unsinkable ship. The captain's inspection. An honest photo captures Captain Edward J. Smith making a deck inspection in the days leading up to the sinking of the Titanic. AI enhancement uncovers 2 crewmen in the background, subsequently identified through genealogy to descendants who were unaware that a family member had worked on the ship. As he went about his routine inspection of the ship and holding a church service on Sundays, Smith also skipped the routinely scheduled lifeboat drill on this specific Sunday morning. The individual himself holds it to be one of the most controversial openings of the voyage. Children at play. A scarce picture captures children running after a ball on the deck of Titanic, a moment of happiness before the disaster. AI detail enhancement shows a subtle white star line logo on the ball, which was possibly a promotional ball given to youngsters. While pretty many kids on board were saying farewell to their homeland with their families to find a new life in America. With regard to the first-class children, they were accorded more deck space to themselves for play, but even those were shared moments, brief flashes of innocence on a doomed voyage. Titanic's Grand Staircase. No original photographs of the Titanic's Grand Staircase are known to exist. With photographs of her sister ship, Olympic, and Nat Geo's 2025 digital reconstruction, AI has rebuilt the grand sweeping oak banisters, elaborate wrought iron railings, and domed skylight that filled the space with natural light. This stunning space was a point of convergence for only first-class passengers and highlighted the amenities of the ship. The recreation enables contemporary viewers to step virtually into the most iconic interior of the unsinkable Titanic vessel. A crew muster photograph of the Titanic crew standing in line shows a routinely looking scene until amplified. AI zoom analysis reveals one man holding a folded piece of paper with its edges visible between his fingers. Historians theorize it may have been an unrecorded iceberg alert. Safety drills for the crew were compulsory for everyone so that they could be attentive to their responsibilities in case of an emergency. Such drills were essential at the time of the Titanic's first voyage, and yet indicators point towards the fact that safety procedures were not strictly adopted, leaving a haunting touch in what would otherwise seem an unassuming group photograph. Marconi Room Titanic. The Marconi Room was where the ship's wireless telegraph equipment was located, manned by Jack Phillips and Harold Bride. In one of the few surviving photos, AI enhancement shows an open logbook on the desk with the faint words, "Ice Report, April 14th. This little small room became the communication lifeline to shore stations and other ships. Phillips and Bride toiled through the night, transmitting distress signals. Hundreds of lives were rescued by their work, even as the fate of Titanic was sealed. Boat Deck Sunrise, an early morning picture, shows the peaceful stretch of North Atlantic from Titanic's boat deck. AI colorization revives the pale pink and gold tones of the horizon to match survivor accounts of the break of day following the sinking. At that time, such vistas would be common.